In this video, I want to share with you how I've used this die that Lifescraftart gave me to make these two beautiful cards. And in the link below, I've got a discount code that you can use for this die and a special discount. So be sure and check that out. But these two cards are really straightforward to make, and I want to get into sharing those with you. So first of all, let's do the stand-up card. You're going to need a sheet of paper 4 1/4 by 11, and we're going to score it at 2 points. This is going to make it form the stand-up version here. So we're going to use our bone folder and get those crisp lines. Again, that's going to help get all this to be able to stand up. Get that folded, and now you're also going to need a piece of white paper, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then the blue is 4 by 5 1/4, and two smaller little pieces here with these dimensions, and we're going to use that as our little stand to hold the card up. So I've moved over to the cutting machine, and I'm going to show you how I'm using this cutting die. This is a very intricate die. There's a lot of small pieces, and I'll show you some of the tools that I use to get this perfect cut. But what I have found is the more that I have used this die, the better it seems to get at cutting. So I do like to run it through twice. And on that second time, you may notice I have a piece of fabric softener sheet on the bottom. That's a little trick that I have picked up, and it has helped me, and I'll talk about that in a future video. But that is something that I use to help me to get those pieces and keep them all together. But look how clean that die comes off. And then now I need some of these pieces out, but if you'll also notice, there are certain usually letters, like in our case the O and the D in God. I need those center pieces. In nothing on the O, I need the center piece. So I'm trying to be really careful about keeping some of those inside pieces. And then I have a couple of other tools that I like to use to help me now place these back on the sheet as I need. But the first step is going to be clearing out all of the little spots, and I'm going to use my pick tool for this, and I'm also going to make use of my Tombow glue in just a few moments. But first, let's take the pick tool, and I just go through here, and of course I've sped it up just a little bit, but I pick all of those little items out. The cuts are done really well when I go through twice there, and like I said, the more times I've used it, the better the dies are getting. But with these intricate cuts, I think that's just part of it. But then it comes out with such nice clean cuts. So now I'm going to take that white sheet, that's my background, and I'm going to glue that piece on top there. I'm just using this regular Tombow, and I just really try to get into all those little intricate pieces. I've got an adhesive runner that I'm going to look at trying as well, but today I just decided to go with the glue. I like to place it on the piece, and when I get that in the spot that I want it to be, I like to use clear blocks on top to set it down and give it some time to dry. So that's what I'm going to be doing right here. That's drying, and let's work on this little rectangular stand. So I'm just going to adhere the white piece right on top of the blue. And if you'll notice, even with these little blue pieces that I have over there to the left, we have a lot of extra pieces that we can use. In addition to the letters, there are a lot of other pieces like flowers and things that traditionally would probably be like greenery, but I think it makes great pieces that we can layer and make different things. So that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm pulling all those pieces out because I thought that they would make great use on the little stand here, this portion of the card. So when I get those all together, I'm going to adhere those onto this piece, and because there's really no rhyme or reason why I put the items down where I do. Every one that I do could be different, but I'm basically just laying those pieces out and layering them on the little stand. So I think this was a great use of all the pieces, whether they be the cut apart or the outline. Now let's work on some of the inside pieces of the words. So like I had mentioned for the O in God, we need that inside piece. And so I have put a little dot of glue, and then I'm also using my pick tool. It has a little piece of putty on the other end, and that helps to pick up the piece. Like here we have the inside of the D. I can pick it up and then place it down, hold it down right there. And then I can also use the other side of the tool to move things around as need be. But even though these intricate pieces, some of those need pieces like that, and it seems like work, I found this to be a very relaxing part of the craft. Just putting these pieces, picking them out, and placing them in their spot. And in a few minutes on the next card, we will look at some other ways that we're going to place some things. And it's almost like doing a puzzle. I don't know about you, but I like doing puzzles. And the way these pieces fit, it's just like a puzzle. Well, now it's time to place our cover on this card. And so we're only going to put adhesive on this bottom half. That's going to allow us to have the stand-up part. But remember, this fits this whole front part. So you could still fold this up like a regular card, but then you're able to open it back up and use our little stand that we just made. We're going to put some little foam dots here, foam squares, and that will pop it up just a little bit. I guess they're not really squares, are they? They're little foam pop-ups. And we'll put that on the bottom portion of the card, and that little stand-up is going to help for the entire card, that front cover, to be able to stay open. And I think this is a great kind of card to have that someone can leave out on their desk for display, or put it in their living room, that sort of thing. I just really like these kind of stand-up cards, and this is a wonderful saying, beautiful card, and so I thought that this was perfect for this type of card. So here it is, all finished. And we're going to move right into our second card. Well, I've shown you several different things with the first card that we're going to use again on the second card, but something that I did different here is I'm utilizing the cutting pieces together. So we're going to need this brown piece that makes our card, and you see the measurements there on the screen. And this is a square card. You're going to need some green paper. I'm using this darker green. Then I have a lighter green. And then we're going to have the brown piece that we're actually going to use with our cutting die. This is a 4x4 piece. And so we'll put that together on that. Then you're going to need some scrap papers. We're going to need some dark green. I also need another middle-sized green that I don't show. Well, let me take you over to the cutting machine, and this is how I place the two dies here. I'm going to center that as much as I can because this outside piece is going to make our outside cut that we need. And so it's really easy to place that on here. They fit together so well. I don't even have to use any kind of washi tape or anything to hold it. Like I did the first time, I'm going to run this through twice just to get that really good cut. And so now it's time to take our pieces apart here. Again, I'm using that fabric softener sheet, and you'll see how I have everything laid out on that. So the cut comes off nice and crisp. That's our outside cut. And then you have seen this inside cut before, just like we had on our previous one. So I'm going to go through, I picked out all the pieces, and then now it's time to put the glue around the edges. I'm trying to go into every little nook and cranny that I can. I'm just using this Tombow glue, and it seemed to do really well. I like using this glue, and I didn't have a lot of seepage on the outside, but I am placing that block on it again. I'm not going to show you again here also, but I'm doing the lettering first. I like to get all that in place. Now I'm going to get into some of these colors, and I love these bright colors on this kind of muted green. I went with the bright pink for the flowers, and this is the part too that is also so relaxing because you just take the piece apart off of the cutout, and we're going to put it into our main base of a card, and it just fits in there so perfectly, just like a puzzle piece does. And this was really so easy, and it was just a time to sit there. I could listen to my music in the background if I wanted to, and I placed these pieces. Now, with this piece, I did do something a little different. because I wanted to layer it with the green portion of the stem of the flower and then have the pink flower. So I did a little bit of placement here. First I put the green piece down and had it extend over just a little bit. And then I'm going to get the pink piece and trim off that bottom portion, and we'll glue that on top to give the green and the pink of the flower here. So here's where I just need to trim that off a little bit, and we will add that. So that's probably the most difficult thing or thing I had to really think about doing. All the other pieces, you just decide on what color you want to put where. You know, this piece even looks great without even anything added to it, I think. You know, get a nice colors to do your top layer, and then you have the bottom layer underneath. But I like these bright colors. Now we'll go in with the yellows. So we have some pink flowers and some yellow flowers. And again, it's just so easy to just pick these off and place them after I've got the glue already set. So I'm just showing you some of these, and again, I could have sat here and just done several of these, lots of these. I liked using the darker green on this as well and placing the vines and greenery, the pieces that they add so much to the image here. Even the little bitty pieces were easy to get out. They stayed there as I needed to, and I do think that having that fabric softener sheet did help. If anybody's got any other tips on how to utilize these very intricate designs, I would love to hear those, but this technique has worked really well. So I've decided what the pieces that I'm using for all the dark green, and I'm putting those down. And having this great pick tool is also very handy. And this just gives you a close-up view of placing those in there. They just fit perfectly. And everything goes in nice and neat. So now I also went with the medium color green, I guess we can say. And that's what I'm adding as the last little pieces. I've kept the lettering to match just the background of the paper. And I think we have everything in place here. It's time to put this on the front of our card. Well, actually I have another piece, right? So I've got a background, doing some layering. So this is the first piece, and we will place this on top of this medium green color. And then we've got our card base that we will place this on. You know, this piece would look great. It looks great to me on a card, but it would even look nice in a little picture frame or something. So these are the two cards as they are completed. I hope you've enjoyed this. Don't forget to get the link with the discount code below.